This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Hi there, pull up a chair, grab your favorite fluffy pillow, and chillax, as we like to say. All the latest ag news right here, right now. So glad you could join us for another edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. As always, we've got a ton of items to get to on today's show. Straight ahead, the long wait is over. Work begins on the Savannah Harbor Deepening Project. Why archaeologists are on the scene and why this old Civil War relic is a part of that process. Also on the show, see what leaders in Washington are doing to address the obstacles facing the U.S. freight rail network and its impact on the ag industry.
And then later, ready or not, UAVs are set to take over ag airspace as soon as the spring. Middle Georgia State College is ready. An inside look at the research they've been doing and how they're preparing their students for careers in the UAV industry. These stories and more starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
We start with peanuts. While peanut growers have seen incredible yields over the past few years, researchers at UGA are still pushing to develop new varieties for the farmers. And one such variety has captured the attention of America's top candy company. Damon Jones has that story.
Like many consumers, you've all seen those Snicker bars or packets of M&Ms in vending machines or on store shelves. And one of the main ingredients in both is, of course, the peanut. And with some of these products sitting on shelves for months at a time, candy companies are looking for ways to keep their goods fresher longer. And that's why they're pushing peanut producers to plant high oleic varieties, which have less linoleic oil. That in turn pushes their expiration date back.
The higher quality oil will tend to give that peanut a longer shelf life. And that is why the candy companies and candy manufacturers really would like for the peanut industry to move in that direction.
In fact, the Mars Company hopes to use exclusively high oleic peanuts within the next few years, as they've shown to extend shelf life for up to an additional 30 weeks. However, that might be easier said than done.
I think if they could do it by 2017, but it's going to take some time to get the varieties and the peanut seed, because you start off with the foundation seed, you move to registered, and then you move to certified. And these peanuts have to be grown under the Georgia Crop Improvement Association, be certified in the field. It's going to take a little time, so 2017 is a short time for us.
Georgia farmers have also been apprehensive to change, as less than 10% of the crop is of the high oleic variety. And a big reason for that is, despite closing the yield gap between the two varieties, one does still exist.
We had several this year make over 8,000 pounds per acre. And so we want to see that in a high oleic. We want to see that yield potential in order for a grower to say, okay, I'll plant that. And when it comes down to it, that's what makes this all work, is yield potential.
Another potential problem is at the buying point, as these different varieties must be carefully separated to give the manufacturing company a pure product.
Normally, if you've got all one variety, it's no problem. You can keep all the peanuts in the same bin and this type of thing. But all of a sudden, you get a load of high oleic, you've got to logistically move it to a different location. And you've got to store it different. Got to go to a different warehouse, and maybe it's a long time away off from the buying point.
However, despite the difficulties, having a high oleic variety that can challenge the yield of O6G could be a game changer for the peanut industry.
If we could ever get to a point where we had multiple varieties that yielded all the same, but had maturity differences, or they had select disease resistance characteristics different from one another. And so we could actually help ourselves by having 2 or 3 varieties that have equal amount of the market share. Some of the new varieties coming out are going to be a little bit smaller than O6G. And if we can still yield the same as O6G, we could potentially cut some of our seed input cost by $10 to $20 per acre. So there are some things that we can do as we approach the next several years to actually build in some security.
Reporting from Tifton, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, thank you very much, sir. In other ag news now, after years of planning, delays, setbacks, what have you, work is now underway on the Savannah Harbor Deepening Project. Nearly 20 years in the making, the project began with a special ceremony at Fort Jackson. Now, before any of the dredging can begin, the first order of business is to bring up the ironclad CSS Georgia, used during the Civil War. The ship was purposely sunk in 1864 to avoid being captured by Sherman's army. Now, once that project is completed sometime this summer, then the dredging phase will begin. The entire project, by the way, is expected to be completed within 5 years. If you're a nature lover, no need to go exploring when nowadays everything is just a mouse click away. Wildlife cams are beginning to sprout up all across Georgia. Berry College's Eagle Nest Cam, for instance, of course, logged millions of views last winter. It's currently online, and the adults are on nest with 2 cute little eggs. New this year, great horned owls nesting in a former eagle's nest at the landings near Savannah. The cam was installed last summer to feature eagles, but only 1 eagle returned, and the owls took over. Links to all these nature cams can be found by logging on to georgiawildlife.com/cams. Now, meantime, dairy producers in Georgia recently got an opportunity to learn ways to increase efficiency on their farms.
Yeah, representatives from the University of Georgia Extension traveled the state conducting workshops to roll out new dairy budgets that UGA has created. Mark Wildman follows that story.
In Macon County, dairy producers are getting some very useful information from UGA Extension livestock economist Kurt Lacey. He has been traveling around Georgia training dairy farmers on some new budgets the university has put together.
Well, the main thing that we're trying to do is to just help dairy farmers make better financial decisions. You know, whether they're operating a conventional operation, whether it's an almost 100% grazing, or whether it's one of these hybrid operations to where they graze some as well as they, more along the lines of a conventional operation where they do graze. What we're trying to do is just help them make some better financial decisions, make them more sustainable.
Dairy producers, like other farmers, are at the mercy of a lot of factors that are out of their control. And making sure their farms run as efficiently as they can will help them as commodity prices fluctuate.
As we head into 2015, it's not nearly as good as what they were looking at in 2014. You know, in 2014 we had really good milk prices, we had really good feed prices, and so profitability really was not an issue for a lot of our dairy farms last year. As we head into 2015, we're looking at significantly lower milk prices, a little bit higher feed prices, or they're not going to come down nearly what they did last year, and so profitability may be a challenge for a lot of our dairy producers. So now's a good time for them to be learning how to sharpen those pencils and make those good decisions for this year.
While producers learned about the new budgets, they also got to discuss management decisions with a UGA economist and other producers in the room.
Some of the big picture things that I think everyone can pay attention to is to manage their debt load, as well as making sure their production is where it needs to be, make sure they're not spending more on feed than they should be, and just really focusing on the basics, making sure that cows are getting bred like they should, and just managing their health costs as well.
These workshops will be conducted in other dairy producing areas of the state, and they will no doubt help producers maintain healthy, more profitable farming operations.
You know, anything that we can do to help our dairy farmers be better financial managers, certainly there are some of them out there that are good financial managers, but with a lot of farming, a lot of them are really great at producing something, but the financial side of things sometimes can be a challenge for a lot of them. So hopefully what they'll get out of this is a tool that'll make it a little easier for them to make those decisions that'll help them stay in business.
Reporting from Macon County, I'm Mark Wildman for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Mark, great job as always. Now, when we come back, cotton producers learn firsthand what to expect this upcoming growing season.
And then later, did you know that one of the top UAV research and development programs in the country is right here in Georgia? That's right, the incredible advancements being made at Middle Georgia State College, something you don't want to miss. Stay tuned. We are back right after this.
Eat and live healthier with the help of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's online Super Tracker tool. It keeps track of your diet and exercise so you can alter your eating and lifestyle to be healthier.
Super Tracker is a personalized plan, so when you go in to set it up, it's based on your age, your physical activity level, your gender, and what your personal goals and lifestyle is. So it really ends up giving you a plan that's right for you.
As for a healthier diet, Super Tracker makes it easier to monitor what foods you're eating and the nutrients you need.
People tend to think of foods and not nutrients. For example, you might say, I need to eat more vegetables for dinner tonight. You're unlikely to say, I need to eat more fiber for dinner tonight. And SuperTracker's emphasis on the food groups makes it very easy to use and very accessible.
For more information, go to supertracker.usda.gov. Making it easier for USDA offices to help farmers is one of the reasons for the new MIDAS project. MIDAS, or Modernize and Innovate the Delivery of Agricultural Systems, will increase Farm Service Agency efficiency and reduce redundancy.
This is another example of the Farm Service Agency using technology to better serve its customers and to also supply the tools for its county office personnel to get the job done a little bit more efficiently and a little bit more quickly.
MIDAS will also make information easier to access so producers won't have to visit multiple offices, and it will cut down on duplication to reduce improper payments.
Right now we're implementing big farm bill programs that require a lot of emphasis on accurate data, and MIDAS is going to really help in that regard.
MIDAS is another step towards a fully modernized Farm Service Agency that will better serve producers. America's infrastructure needs repairs and improvements. During an event in Washington, USDA was singled out for efforts to improve water quality and accessibility.
Now, what Tom's doing at USDA, just since 2009, under his leadership, he's invested more than $10 billion in water projects that affect a total of 15 million Americans in rural America.
Secretary Tom Vilsack pointed out that efficient water and sewer systems, along with improved roads, rails, and bridges, are critical to rural America's economic well-being.
Secure infrastructure makes our communities competitive, helps to attract new business and new people, and that in turn results in new investments. It helps our businesses move product to market at home and abroad more quickly and more competitively.
While infrastructure in rural America needs a lot more work, Vilsack hopes that public-private partnerships can help provide the resources to get the job done.
All right, welcome back. That was Susan Carter from the USDA reporting. Thank you very much, Susan. Well, recently, cotton producers from across the state gathered in Tifton for the Georgia Cotton Commission's annual meetings and UGA Cotton Production Workshop.
This event highlighted the Commission's work and provided growers with vital information about the upcoming growing season.
The Georgia Cotton Commission's annual event, held in conjunction with the UGA Cotton Production Workshop conducted by the Research and Extension Cotton team. Executive Director of the Georgia Cotton Commission, Richie Seaton, told us the breakout sessions and guest speakers made a significant impact on the producers that were in attendance this year.
Well, this is our 8th annual meeting, and what we like to do and accomplish at our meeting is to bring in speakers from industry that will not only give our farmers a chance to hear what's going on, what's being done on their behalf by our cotton organizations. We also have good breakout sessions from our research and extension personnel that give the latest information, tips, and whatever. Cotton's tough right now, but hopefully what we're doing and investing the farmers' checkoff dollars in our programs will help them survive these lean times as we move into better times in the future.
One of several guest speakers included Mark Masurup, Senior Vice President, Global Marketing of Cotton Incorporated. He introduced the group to the marketing strategy currently underway. It's called Cotton Leads.
In the industry that we work in, cotton moves from the farm to manufacturing to brands and clothing retailers, and then ultimately to consumers. The challenge over the last several years is that these clothing brands and retailers increasingly want to know more and more about where their ingredients come from, how their products are made, and ultimately even ingredients like the fiber that goes into their textiles. And the chief fiber, of course, is cotton. So that puts the challenge out there for cotton to educate brands and retailers about how cotton is produced, what production is like at the farm level, and what are those practices.
Among the topics the group discussed this year, technical advances in farming with unmanned systems and automated equipment. The complex issues were of interest to a new audience in cotton. Mary Catherine Cromley said she's enjoying the idea of marketing cotton to consumers.
I grew up on a farm, so I'm familiar with what goes on in the field in the cotton industry, but I'm not that familiar with all of the marketing and everything else that goes along with that.
The Georgia Cotton Commission already in plans for the 9th annual meeting next year.
Well, just a reminder, if you missed any part of this story or others on today's show, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel. That is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Once there, browse the archive of stories dating back the last 6 years.
And once you're done watching all those informative stories, just keep on clicking and like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page we have set up for you. Even send us some pictures, some videos if you got it. If you have a story idea or if you just want to leave us a comment or suggestion, feel free to send us a message either on Facebook or at the address listed below. That is news@farm-monitor.com. We love to see your pictures of your farm.
Well, meantime, the challenges facing the U.S. freight rail network are having a tremendous impact on the ag industry. Shanika Otterby has that story.
For the past couple of years, railways have been congested due to a multitude of factors. American Farm Bureau Transportation Specialist Andrew Walmsley says this congestion has made it difficult for farmers to move grain.
Because of this large harvest that we had last year and these rail issues, farmers were getting a lower price for their goods. And since then, we've progressed and not seen as many issues. The railroads really responded with the need for putting more trains on the rails and trying to adjust the system to handle more of the goods. And luckily, we haven't seen those issues as bad as we did last year.
The Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee held a hearing and addressed some of these rail issues.
It was a pretty broad discussion on the many challenges that are out there, but it's something we think Congress needs to continue to take a look at to ensure the railroads are operating in the best way that they can and that agriculture is getting the best service that they can.
Walmsley says steps are being taken to move forward. The railroads continue to discuss capital investment to build capacity and make improvements.
I think there's going to continue to be some oversight and investigations into the whole picture of what our freight rail network looks like. Senator Thune last year introduced a Surface Transportation Board, STB, reform bill that Farm Bureau supported. We expect him to introduce similar legislation this Congress.
Farm Bureau believes it's important to continue researching this issue so that farmers and ranchers can reach their export markets as timely and efficiently as possible. Shanika Otterby, Washington.
Shanika, thank you. Now, when we come back, how the UAV program at Middle Georgia State College is positioning itself to become one of the leaders in UAV research and development. Keep it here. You're watching the Georgia Farm Monitor.
And if it weren't for a farmer, we wouldn't be able to enjoy, chocolate cake or ice cream. Yeah.
Playing in front of a tough but enthusiastic crowd, Daniel Hawkins is talking ag to some potential future farmers. The Jefferson County 4-H'er is with a group of teens visiting area schools and reading to kids. Here it's the tale of Grandpappy Farmer, his grandson, and their old but trusty tractor.
If you can get a kid excited about reading, he's more likely to read on his own. And if you can positively impact one kid, it makes all this effort we go through, going to all the elementary schools, makes it worth it.
This was part of Ag Literacy Week here in Jefferson County. 4-H combined with FFA, and older kids read to kindergartners at 5 elementary schools in 5 days.
Once we were green, now we are red.
The children learn how an apple grows ripe and ready for picking. Teachers and 4-H leaders say these kids are excited to learn about something they all love, our tasty foods. Here they make the connection between what's on their table and who grew it. The teen 4-H'ers say they're proud to pass on this message and serve as role models for these children.
Reading and education is just basically the foundation for everything, and to start anything good, a child needs a good education. So I think that's important, and it's important to set the example that it's good to be a good leader.
That's exactly what they're doing. So leadership and citizenship are the big things when the kids get to high school. And it's a payback program because somebody came in when they were a 4th grader and really made them feel important.
As story time comes to an end, the older 4-H'ers promise to come back again soon with more books, and the kindergartners are all for that. What's really growing here is a new generation with both a love of reading and an appreciation of farming. This is Chuck Denny reporting.
All right, Chuck, thank you, sir. Well, as you may or may not know, just last month, the FAA issued the first permit for the agricultural use of unmanned aerial vehicles, more commonly referred to as UAVs. Experts in the industry say once government regulations are put into place, agriculture could account for 80% of all commercial drone use across the U.S. Now, for some, this may come as a surprise. Not the case, though, for researchers at Middle Georgia State College in Eastman, Georgia. As you're about to see, they've been preparing for the new wave of UAV technology for quite some time.
Well, the Eastman campus of Middle Georgia State College is probably one of the best kept secrets in the state.
That's true to some extent, but in terms of being a player in the research and development of UAV technology, Middle Georgia State is well respected in the industry. Since 2010, they've worked with numerous companies developing different types of platforms, from UAVs used for recreational use to something as high-tech as this.
We've built twin-engine, jet turbine UAVs. We've operated in the National Airspace System dozens of times under FAA certificates of authorization, or COAs. We've been doing research at multiple airports, multiple agricultural test sites around the state. We've been flying over various research crops. We've had the benefit of being able to partner with other universities and different commercial UAV companies to develop some of the different technologies out there. So we get to do some pretty cool stuff.
According to Dennis, one of the project's biggest milestones took place in 2012 when the FAA granted Middle Georgia State special permission to operate a test flight in Class D airspace. Class D is defined as airspace up to 4,000 feet above airport elevation surrounding those airports that have an operational control tower.
We found out later on that that was the first time in the country that had been approved. And back earlier in the summer of 2014, we were approved for our first beyond line of sight operations with that aircraft from the ground. We still have to use a chase aircraft to follow it, but we can actually take the aircraft and fly it approximately 4 nautical miles northwest of the airport on a specific pattern, as long as we can keep an aircraft following it.
With UAV use expected to increase tenfold in the coming years, Dennis tells me that Middle Georgia State is already developing career programs and UAV training for its students, something they expect to be up and running by the fall.
Well, the market's continuously expanding. We're foreseeing over 2,500 jobs in the state of Georgia over the next 10 years directly related to UAVs. And we're seeing a lot of universities just now starting to really spool up, develop academic programs that are going to support the demand the market's going to have for experienced operators, experienced maintainers. And of course, Middle Georgia State College, we're right there at the forefront of that phase as well.
There's also cooperative efforts with other schools throughout the state.
The Specialty Crop Research Initiative, SCRI, UGA was awarded a grant to do a provisional stage 1 check into the use of UAVs into specialty crops. So this past year, Georgia Tech, UGA, Middle Georgia State College, and Florida State have been working collectively to go out there and assess this. We've been going to a lot of the different agricultural conferences for different types of specialty crops, especially those targeting precision agriculture. And we've been giving presentations, educating on what we're currently doing, and soliciting ideas for things that could be practical applications for farmers. It's one thing for me as an aviation professional to say, this is what the farmer needs. It's another thing for me to go and ask the farmer, will this be of value to you? Or if not, what will be of value to you?
Well said, and a huge thanks to Chad for showing us around there that day. Very, very interesting program they got going on down there. Well, speaking of UAVs, a Kansas farmer found a unique way to not only show off his flying skills, but also his art skills using both the UAV and his herd of cattle.
Yeah, check this out. Using a herd of about 200 cattle, farmer Derek Klingenberg created what he calls cow art. While filming high above the ground, Derek drove around the herd, strategically dumping out feed in certain spots. When it was all said and done, this is what he created, a giant smiley face. The cows, of course, enjoyed taking part. Derek says he plans to do more art, but for now, the designs are just a secret.
Cow art using drones. Okay. Hey, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Now, don't forget, if you're looking for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm, be sure and check out our Facebook and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.